So stress. And basically, I'm going to give a simple definition to what stress is. Stress basically means that you're not able to handle the task. That's all is stress. If something is stressful to you, it basically means you are not able to handle the task. So, for example, if I tell a marathon runner run 10 kg, for them that's not stressful because they can handle it and they run it, right? If you take an average person and you tell them run 10 kg, they will have a very hard time and it'll be very stressful for them. So in your life, if something is stressful, it means that you are not able to handle it or you're not fit enough to handle it. So that is what stress is. So anything that is stressful for you, doesn't matter what it is, it's draining your chi and draining your chi big time. Now, when you start practicing a qigong system or a prana system, where where it's in the yogic systems, you learn how to go inwardly. So you learn to see how your body feels inwardly. So when I'm talking about draining your chi and you feel that, it's a little bit different than like, oh, I'm so exhausted, let me have a coffee, and I'm so tired, I need to sleep. You will see that there is a difference there of what that feels like when your chi is being drained. It's a little different feeling. So as you start going inwardly, which I'm going to help you and show you how to do that in the master class, you will be able to see the difference. And then basically what you're going to ask yourself when there's activities or situations that you're getting into, you're going to say, is this draining my vitality? Is this draining my chi? If it's draining my chi, I don't want to do it, right? If your goal is, again, to have, vibrant longevity, right? But then you're going to say, no, I'm not going to go into this situation because this situation drains my chi, and I prefer to keep this chi with me, right? So stress. The next one is emotions, and emotions I'm going to get into more about in another class, later on, not today. But emotions drain your chi big time. So if you want something to drain your chi very fast, is emotions. If you're watching TV and you become emotional, then that's draining your chi. In my training in the Siddha system, when there was one training we did about longevity. And one of the things toward the end of the class, the Siddha master said, if you can do one thing, he said, do not watch any sad movies. Why? Because when you start getting that emotion, that sadness for 2 hours and you're sad, that is actually draining your chi. So emotions is another thing that drains your chi big time. The next one is empath. So a lot of the reasons why empaths don't have, if you're an empath, is a lot of reasons why they get sick or they're unhealthy. And I'm going to get into a little bit more of that in another class. But empaths, it's not because someone's draining their energy. It's not because there are these, leeches that hook onto them. It has nothing to do with that. And the sooner an empath realizes that, because they believe that and they think that, that's also draining them. But the main reason is because empaths are either very emotional or they feel other people's energies and they imprint it onto themselves. So the body feels like it's them, but it's actually not them, and they don't remove it right away. So it's an imprint, and that's why they're constantly draining their energy. And that's one of the biggest reasons why a lot of empaths get sick a lot and get drained and don't want to go out. Why? If you don't have any energy, you're going to want to stay home, right? Your body is going to want to, won't want to leave the house. It just wants to stay in. So that's why. So doing some earthing or doing some, all the different things that they do, like get chiropractic adjustments or some acupuncture, it's not really going to help much. Why? Because they need to replenish their chi. So if you're doing all those other things and you feel good for a little bit and then you come back and then you drain again, it's because whatever amount of chi you got from earthing or from the other things that you did, it got depleted immediately as soon as you started having a conversation with someone outside of yourself. So that's why a big one is empaths. ESP is and EC. So ESP is extrasensory perception and or extraordinary capabilities. Empaths have that, but if people are having those extrasensory perceptions or extraordinary capabilities, that actually drains your chi big time because it's something higher than what your body it normally does. So that also drains your chi. So you need to know how to use it. If you have any of those what people call gifts or learned skills, it could also be a learned skill. You need to learn how to cultivate your chi and how to make sure you're not draining yourself. And this is why you see a lot of people that have these special abilities, they get sick a lot. Why? Because they're draining their chi constantly. The next one is energy healers and psychics, and that's very similar to ESP and EC, because energy healing is for most people, when they do it incorrectly or certain systems by default, you're using your own chi. It drains your chi. And even with the ones that you're doing it correctly, because it's energy healing is considered an extraordinary capability, it drains your chi. And psychic would be like ESP. NGO workers and volunteer workers, I'll get into that more in detail in another class, but in general, NGO workers and volunteer workers are constantly feeling sad about people. They're always worrying, they're always sad. So you'll find a lot of NGO workers, especially leaders, they get sick or die very young. And that is, again, because of the emotion part of it. Working at a job you don't like, well, we don't know that. That is stressful and you don't like it, so you don't enjoy it, so that just drains your chi. Being in a bad relationship, again, overworking, that's another one. Staying out in the cold for too long. So I know there's this big thing about, like, I think one of the reasons it comes from like Tibet, of how to adjust your body heat so it can stay warm in freezing cold weather. But we need to remember that the Tibetan Buddhists, they live in that climate, so their body needs to adjust to that. But if you're not living in that type of climate where you are constantly, for a long period of time in cold, freezing weather, if you go outside in just a shirt and keep your body cold and shorts, and then that actually drains your chi. So you don't want to be in a cold weather. There are also other reasons with cold, especially in your feet or your kidney areas. It freezes the chi channels, the meridians, and then it's harder for the chi to flow. So it's another reason why you don't want to stay too long in the cold weather. Sickness, illness, and disease. So if you're constantly sick, constantly having an illness or disease, it is draining your chi. So because the chi is working on healing you, so that's draining your chi. And this is another reason why you see why the ancient immortals, they worked on their chi so they or in their body, so their health becomes super healthy, so they don't need to get sick, get a sickness or illness or disease, because if they do that, then they have to constantly fight off the illness, and it's going to be draining their chi, and they need that chi to move up into higher levels of whatever they're practicing. And the next one is sports and fitness. And this one is a big one because today everybody says, oh, you need to do exercise, you need to go to the gym, you need to play a sport, it's healthy, it extends your life. I'm going to say is that because